Hi, I'm Pastor Matt here once again with lead pastor Drew Becker at Freedom Church. This episode we're talking about honor. Pastor, can you talk about what it means to be an honor-driven culture and church?
You know, I'm going to drop a name here, Bobby Conner. We all know Bobby. Love Bobby.
Yeah.
When Bobby was here one time, he said this to the crowd of people. He said, Freedom Church is a safe place. And I think what he meant by this, and I know what he meant by this, is it's a place where you can grow safely. You can open up your heart. And I think that's part of our mission, is to be that authentic, life-giving church. Cleansing Streams is a class that we do, so we immediately introduce people to a place where they can be honest and open about the things they've dealt with in life.
That's good.
And they can talk those things through.
That's good.
And so honoring someone is about not looking at the weaknesses of a person.
Wow. Yeah.
How easy is that?
Yeah.
I mean, you're around someone for 10, 15 minutes. You can pick out a few weaknesses, and it's kind of like scratching the dirt. You know, it doesn't take much to find dirt in a person. You can just scratch the surface of the ground and find it. But to find the treasure within them, it takes a little bit more digging. And each one of us, though, have a treasure inside of us. And there's gifts inside of us. There's good things inside of us that have been given to us by God. And I think if we're going to honor people, we have to look beyond the dirt and look at the divinity inside of each and every one of us. Because to have a church that is full of honor is one that will bring hope to people in a situation where they've been hopeless.
Right.
Because every person on the planet can find their weakness. And at Freedom Church, we don't want you to just live according to your own view of yourself or someone else's view of yourself in the areas of your weakness, but we want people to be able to see the greatness in you. And I think that's part of honoring people, seeing their greatness.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, even though we're on staff, Maggie, my wife, and I are relatively new to the church, having been here for about 2 years. But immediately we had a sense that this place was a place that values other people. It values not just the leaders in the church or the people that are in front, but people that come that are just a part of the everyday congregation. And there's a real sense of family. Can you talk about how important family is in the kingdom and in our church in particular?
Yeah, good question, Pastor Matt. You know, even being the lead pastor here, sometimes there's the mentality of lead pastors to be the boss and everybody do what I say and jump through that hoop and this hoop. And even though there's the element of that leadership that has to happen, that's not what motivates or pushes or, that's not our hearts. Our hearts are, we want to lift others up.
That's good.
Lift others up into their destiny.
Yeah.
And by being family, we could have someone come to us and tell us, I'm struggling with this issue in my life.
Wow.
And not go, oh my goodness, you're going to have to, we're going to have to put you on the shelf here. We used to hear that statement all the time in the 80s and 90s. God put me on the shelf. You don't hear that terminology so much anymore because we all know that we have some dirt. We're man.
Right. Everybody.
Right. And yet inside of this earthen vessel is a treasure. Christ in us, the hope of glory. And yet we all know that we have an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And we always don't see our Achilles heel, but we know we have a weakness.
Right.
And so I think part of that as family is that when we share the weakness, we're not like, in our minds putting them on the shelf, but we're wanting to work with them to work through this issue.
Right.
And I think that's part of the family culture. But also as a family, going beyond this competition thing in the church that you see often.
Right.
God help us not to be competitive, but help us have the Father's heart. The Father's heart is, I want my children to be blessed. I want my children to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
I want my sons and my daughters to be way more than what I am.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I hope that that is projected through me. But I also hope that that is a common theme in Freedom Church, that we cheer one another on.
Right.
And sometimes that's hard to do because we see our own weaknesses and then we see someone else excelling.
Right.
But it's important to do because we're here, once again, a prophetic culture encouraging one another.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I know one thing I've appreciated about your preaching is that you're quick to be transparent with your own struggles. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe Freedom is a safe place where you can just, I don't know, you seem like you lead from honesty.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's not always the easiest to do because I shouldn't say I never seen that modeled. I did, but early on, probably my first 20 years of life in church, I never seen that modeled or demonstrated where there was transparency from the pulpit. In fact, it was discouraged because you got to be a strong leader. And I think you still can be a strong leader and be transparent. And when I'm transparent, guess what? Who else is going to be transparent?
Right.
Everyone else.
That's right. Yeah.
We did cleansing streams. I encourage everybody to be a part of cleansing streams. In cleansing streams, the first time I led a group, I was very honest. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, Drew, how good of a class do you want to have? It's going to be based upon how open you are.
Wow.
And so I just opened up the valve and shared. And that was one of the greatest groups we've ever had because of the honesty and leading in the areas of honesty and transparency.
That's awesome.
And so I found it to be a safe place, where we have to create that atmosphere so people can be healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in a culture of honor, that it's important and it's okay for people to make mistakes.
Yes.
And I think that really brings out the treasure, if you can say, we just acknowledge that we have differences and we're imperfect, but...
And that's so contrary to the culture around us.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, I mean, not just in Aberdeen, but in our society, we have people that want perfectionism. You go to the games and you hear the dads yelling at their sons because they dropped a ball or getting on their sons. And I think it's even contrary to the culture in which I grew up in. Not so much with my parents, but just that German culture of, drive, perfect, and it's like so contrary to that.
Yeah.
But the kingdom culture is that. It's one that exercises patience, long-suffering, and the ability to look beyond the junk and look to the potential that is in that person.
Yeah.
I see it all around us with people within our church doing the small groups even.
Right.
Pastors Matt and Maggie are leading these small groups, and these group leaders aren't perfect.
Yeah.
Because none of us are perfect.
Yeah,
but they're leading and encouraging and lifting others up and making that small group a safe place.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
awesome.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this chat about our culture of honor here at Freedom.